Hey, this is Ree here. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. It really helps me a lot. And don't forget to check out my website, paradoxastrology.com. Book your consultation today. I can help you with anything. And if you would like more exclusive occult videos that I don't post on YouTube, consider subscribing to my Patreon. It also helps support this channel. Okay, let's get into this video. Now, we have Jupiter retrograding on September 4th until December 30th. So let's talk about that. Jupiter will be retrograding in Bharani Nakshatra. So this is related to the womb or the yoni. This is the female reproductive system. And this is in Aries, by the way. It's all about bearing or giving birth. And this could be a transformative and difficult process for many. It's an old life that has to die as we come into this new life. It's all about death. It's about rebirth. And that's why it's ruled by Venus. It has to do with female issues. It's maternal love. It's struggle. It's sacrifice. It's ruled by Yama, which is the Lord of death and the gatekeeper at the door between two worlds. It has a lot to do with karma because Yama is the one that assigns us to our next life based on the karmas that we acquired, which is weighing our actions. It's also ruled by Kali Ma, which is the most compassionate mother, but also kills the demons. That's why they call it the battlefield between two extremes. It's also the process of going through puberty, understanding our sexual nature, and the ups and downs that come with that, the hormones, everything. So that's why it can be very extreme. Because of this, now we can see interest rates will be revisited at this time. This can go to extreme levels or transformation. Matters of finance, banking, commerce, revenue of many countries, pensions, tax collectors will see drastic ups and downs. These matters will face karma from this life and from previous lives. Cabinet members, senators, government officials, diplomats, and religious leaders will step down or die out, and new ones will be appointed after the end of November. Publishers, writers will go through life-changing events. This could be good or bad. It all depends on your past karma and past actions and your placements in your chart, all of that. Jupiter will station at 21 degrees until September 20th. And it will be aspecting Mercury, combust in Leo, increasing confusion, transformation of these issues of health, employment, debt, travel. But it can help some of these as well. It just depends. But on September 25th, it aspects Mercury again, and it won't be combust. So this will be beneficial to the writers, all communication jobs, trade, everything like that, and health, writing. So that will be the beneficial one, definitely. Bharani also has to do with soulmates. A lot of relationships are transforming because right now Venus is in retrograde and it will be over by the time that this happens, but it'll be retracing its steps in Ashlesha to get rid of what we cling to or what others cling to that may not be healthy for us. It's all about healing and it can be a difficult or painful process. A lot of people, because of that process, had to face their fears. It's like they're facing their fears so that right before the Jupiter retrograde, which is going to transform them. So that's why this could be very positive for a lot of people if you learned these lessons and you let things be. Now, because it's going retrograde, it's going back to the position that it was. And that's June 21st is when it first went into Bharani Nakshatra. The events that occurred around June when it first went in, we had the Paris explosion when around 50 people were injured and one was missing after the explosion, and fire happened in Paris, France. There was also issues of abortion, which we'll revisit because it's female issues, reproductive system. Also, this was when we had the submarine accident. If you think about water, water is very much like a womb. And the submarine, which contained billionaires, which is Jupiter, extreme abundance. So we may be revisiting these things. We may see more things that have to do with these issues. November 16th, it will be retrograding. It will hit Ashwini Nakshatra. Ashwini has to do with racing. It has to do with horses. It's the businessman. It's trade, healers, doctors, marriage counselors, childbirth specialists, health industry in general, sports, gambling, transport. So we're going to be revisiting a lot of the issues that we saw that happened April 21st, 2023. So I was looking at some of the past things that we saw happen when it retrograded in that spot. And it was very interesting to see how it really lines up with Ashwini. October 2nd, 2011, in horse racing, there was a horse that actually won with a speed record, becoming the second German horse winner since 1975. And like I said, Ashwini is horses and it is racing. There could be some records broken in those areas. Also, last time it went retrograde was around August 25th, 1999. The biggest movie at the time was The Sixth Sense, and Ashwini is ruled by Ketu, which is also ghosts. So I thought that was funny. Also, August 31st, there was a Boeing 737 that crashed during takeoff. That was in Buenos Aires and killing 65 people, including 2 on the ground. So a lot to do with hospitalizations. So we could definitely see some accidents that may occur. It's also, there was a first series of apartment bombings in Moscow, killing 1 and wounding 40 others. And so Russia should be actually very cautious because of the war, and we've previously seen this. Ashwini also has to do with concreters, those involved in laying down foundation. So problems with buildings can occur, bombings, things like that. Also, Michael Johnson broke the 400-meter world record as well. So another athlete about racing. There was a 5.9 magnitude earthquake that rocked Athens because a previously unknown fault. It killed 143 people and also injured 500, leaving 50,000 people homeless. So Ashwini is mechanical engineers, those involved in the engineering profession as well. And it's also loss of people. So this is something that we should be aware of, especially with all the climate issues happening. There was also a bomb that exploded in Moscow, Russia, with at least 119 people were killed. So another reason why we should keep a close eye on Russia. NASA also announced that it lost contact with the Mars climate orbiter, which is hilarious because Aries is ruled by Mars. Losing contact is Ketu. There's also Japan's worst nuclear accident at a uranium reprocessing facility. So another casualty, huge casualty. Also, there was a massacre with 16 people in England as well, with an assault rifle and then the person off themselves. And so Mars is weapons and K2 is loss or death as well. There was a healthcare worker who got triple life for poisoning 24 patients. Hopefully we don't see any healthcare workers killing people, but who knows? We're in that time. Also, the #1 movie was Dirty Dancing, which is funny because Ashwini is all about dancing and being quick on your feet. October 1987 is a big one, is when this went retrograde. And I think we should really pay attention to this because it won't hit this degree. When this happened, Jupiter was at 0 degrees, which is the Gandanta point. That is the point of the knot. This causes a lot of chaos. It causes a lot of crisis that happens because it's like something gets into a knot and it can't be untangled. It's a very sensitive point in the zodiac between death and rebirth. Now, Jupiter won't go to that degree, but November 28th, we will have Rahu at 0 degrees Aries. Jupiter will be at 12 degrees. August 29th, it will actually be at 1 degree. And when Jupiter was at 1 degree, this was the beginning of this financial crash. And I'll read to you what they said on the website involving this crash. And just the way everything's going in the US, monetary-wise, in a lot of countries, this could definitely happen in the US. The US is going through Shawtee and a lot of other difficult transits. And you can check out my video about the breakdown, the astrological breakdown of the US on my page. I just recently did it where I break this down. But this was known as the Black Monday. It's when the Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped 22.6%, which was the first contemporary global crisis. So I think we should be very cautious of this occurring again, because this is how it led up. The stock markets raced upwards during the first half of 1987. By late August, the Dow Jones had gained 44% in a matter of 7 months, stoking concerns of an asset bubble. By mid-October, a storm cloud of news reports undermined investor confidence and led to additional vitality in the markets. The federal government disclosed a larger than expected trade deficit and the dollar fell in value. The markets began to unravel, forecasting record losses that would develop a week later. beginning October 14th, this was when Jupiter was at 1 degree. And remember, Rahu will be at 1 degree August 29th and will continue to be at 1 degree until November 28th when it hits 0. Now, when it was at that 1 degree, a number of markets began encouraging large daily losses. By the time October 16th rolled around, sell-offs, because people were convinced of threats that was lingering, which describes circumstances because by the end of trading on the day of October 16th, which was a Friday, the Dow Jones lost 4.6%. By the weekend, October 17th, the US dollar was ordered to narrow the nation's winding trade deficits because it just plunged. And then on October 19th was the Black Monday, 2 days later. So I think that we should be very cautious that there isn't a huge financial crash, especially because everybody's been just printing money since forever, but since 2020 especially. So then on August 29th, Rahu will be at the 1 degree. September 3rd, the moon will conjunct that Rahu at 1 degree. And then that's when Jupiter on the 4th retrogrades. So what happens around that date? Because when the moon conjuncts the planet, it manifests in the physical reality, in the physical world as an event. So we should be very cautious of something happening around there that may signal what's about to happen. It could be the beginning of it. And then maybe once it hits 0 degrees, that's when the real downfall happens. It's hard to know exactly, but that's just kind of what I see. And I think we should be very cautious of that. So that's just a bit of my findings regarding Jupiter retrograde. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.